Good afternoon, Dublin. What a pleasure to be here again. And I'm going to show you one thing today that you can take away and do next week. And it's a 15-minute piece of work. It's not very much effort, and anyone can do it. Doesn't need any technical skills. And I can guarantee you that out of all the 15-minute pieces of work that you will do this year, this one will make you more money than all the rest of them put together. A little bit sceptical. Nah, that's not true. Well, if you don't believe me, that's what the point of this whole presentation's about. So let's get started. What are these then? Let's start the presentation with some BFNs, some big numbers, right? But you don't know what they are, and I'm not going to tell you, because that, again, is the point of the whole presentation. And I'll get there. Let me start. The first thing is, this has been 20 years of work in the making, this deck, and 5 years of farting around with Google Analytics, trying to understand the data model and the opportunities in the site. And these three people contributed to all of this. So credit's due to Peter and Charles for a lot of the tools and techniques in here too. So props. So this is what I'm covering today. This is basically the agenda. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back in time when I started doing websites. And this was the first website that I ever worked on. And nobody has ever seen it because it didn't get fucking launched. Because it was a pile of dog shit. That's why. It was huge. It worked fine in the office, but not over dial-up modems. It was like stuffing a pig down a toilet. And it didn't work on anyone's browsers. It only worked if you had the latest browser with dynamic HTML. It didn't work. It was a failure, and it cost £1 million. So, fast forwarding 18 years forward, we should have got this all sorted out by now, right? So, this is the kind of shit that I have to deal with these days. This is allegedly a landing page experience. It looks like a fight between people vomiting and some chainsaws. It's disgusting. That is the most popular resolution that these people, this is your experience when you land on the site. It's awful. How can, no wonder they didn't get any more money given to them. Not a surprise. Here's another brilliant one. This is one of my favourites over the last year. British Airways spent millions of pounds on advertising. They could have put the advertising billboards underwater, as far as I'm concerned. You'll see why. Oh, landing page, crappy landing page. I saw the advert at the station. I get that landing page. Oh, I kind of scroll down and eventually find the flight. I think this is the one that they're referencing in the advert. So I click on it, and I'm like, holy, what is this, right? Because this is not a desktop machine. This is a mobile. Look at this. It's so freaking tiny. I'm up here, and I can't even read it. So how you expect me to read it on that? Billboards underwater, right? But it gets even better than that, because these are 2 to 3 millimeters in size, right? You've got one of these, the giant meat puppet. Oh, let's have a look at the 5-star hotels. Let's try and slap the giant meat puppet on that 5. How about the next page? Yes! I can hit it with the giant meat puppet. This is not going to work. It gets worse. There's all this off-canvas stuff. Oh, I can't. Where's the button? I can't. I've chosen my. There's no button. It's off the page. That's terrible. But it gets even better. You go to leave and you get a pop-up. Oh, don't you just love it? This is the best kind of pop-up because there's something missing. You know what the most important thing is missing? For me to tell them what I fucking think of their terrible website. But I can't, because the only button that's available is no thanks. All the electricity, the energy, the cost of printing, the advertising, and me using all my time to go to the website. I'll never look at another one of their landing pages again. It's terrible. But it's tiny little things. And if you go to Luke's session tomorrow, you'll see some of this too. This stuff freaking annoys me. A large telco said to me, it's really strange, Craig, the most edited field in our checkout process are people's names. And we were wondering why people were so shit at spelling their own names, Craig. Maybe you could explain this to us. And I said, I think that that's probably the piece of information that they're most likely to be able to spell after at least 18, 20 years of practicing it. So we checked, and it's because they've got freaking spell checker on. So they're making them edit their spell-corrected names. It's infuriating. They had no idea. And they're a mobile company, right? Oh, what about this one? We would like you to type in your phone number using the phonetic system. Alpha, Whiskey, Foxtrot. Yeah, we want you to figure out how this has anything to do with this. Because I don't see any numbers. It's evil. You know, and people wonder why they don't get conversion. This stuff makes me and Michael really mad because we did this 18 years ago. There was an excuse then. There was loads of money around. People were doing stupid things, the dot-com boom. There isn't an excuse for this now because it costs you money. But this is my hierarchy of needs. See all this stuff at the top? Marketing whiffle, right? It's bullshit, that bit, until you do this bit. So does it work on the customer device? Does it load and run quickly? Can customers use it? Core usability. And one thing that most people don't talk about, can they read the text? If it's a travel app and there's light shining and the text is tiny, they can't read it. So it doesn't matter what your marketing whiffle is if you don't have a foundation. So that's it. Device compatibility, performance, usability, legibility, and all the rest is really easy shit compared to that. But if we don't do these four things as core foundations, what we're doing is we're burning rubber in the car park of user experience. Everyone's having a great time. Oh, we're A/B testing. The wheels are going round. Not lots of noise, lots of smoke, loud music. But nobody fucking leaves the car park. Everybody's saying we're having a great time and we've got no rubber left on our tyres. How are you feeling? Pumped. It's great. This is modern web design in one slide. So where are we in 2018? We all have product defects. You've got defects. I've got them. My clients have got them. Everyone has these problems. But until you've actually fucking tested the devices that people have that are trying to pay you money with, it's all just a bullshit assumption. It's a bias. You don't know. But why don't we hear about this stuff through the call centre? If these things were broken, then customers would call us up and tell us. Well, what if 5 people contacted? I guarantee you, 5 people call your call centre to say that something's wrong, there's a meltdown happening. You're in the middle of a disaster scenario and you better figure out. But what if 1 person calls? That's no guarantee that there isn't a problem there. And if nobody calls, it doesn't mean it's working. It's just a mistaken assumption. But when I look at these bugs or rendering issues on websites, I think, oh God, it's a bit of bad code, or, you know, they could have done that a bit better, right? But what do customers feel? What's their emotional and visceral reaction? It's very like walking into a store and stepping in dog shit. So if I walk in here, what does this message say to me? We don't care that you as a customer have to walk around dog shit in our store. We can't be bothered to pick it up. We didn't even know the dog shit was there. We just ignored the dog shit and we hoped you'd do the same. Nice strategy, but it doesn't work. But you see, the call centre is like a giant nappy, an absorption layer. It's like a black hole with its own gravity well, stopping these customer problems from escaping. So this is where customer bugs go to die. It's the elephant's graveyard of customer problems because they're hard to categorize. Oh, we can't reproduce it. Oh, well, it's not a problem then. Oh, we'll just file it under couldn't reproduce, bullshit, no idea category. It's very rare to see a bug hunter approach at companies where they systematically try and find this stuff and iron it out. You'll see it in security circles, inviting people to hack their websites and giving them money for it. And that should happen with this as well. We should pay people to find stuff on our sites because it's worth more money than we pay them. But if cars were like websites, people would be dying in their millions. They're getting their heads cut off, right? They wouldn't be able to drive them. Short people couldn't use the car. Tall people couldn't use the car. But car manufacturers have got this licked. What did they do to manage this that we are not doing? And it's all these methodologies to go from dirty, smelly, dangerous, unproductive sort of assembly line of the 1950s to a completely, this factory has no humans in it at all. It's all automated. But all of this stuff, Six Sigma, Lean, Kaizen, all of these techniques are to do this stuff that we really want, to maintain quality, to improve it, to get defects out there. And of course, avoiding consumer deaths is really good as well. How it works. But what's the one thing that would make the biggest difference to you as a company in making this problem go away? And that is that when someone talks about we test our stuff, we test all the popular stuff, then I want to say to you all in the audience, don't tell me what you think you do, just prove it. So go and prove that you're actually doing this, and then you'll know whether it's bullshit or not. It's like Schrodinger's cat. Until you open the box, you don't know whether you get a dead or a live cat in there. First of all, before I do this model, and before you go into the article I'm going to share with you, there's some basic groundwork. It's sensible stuff, but if you haven't audited your analytics or had someone check out your analytics, I've looked at 480 configurations over the last 5 years, and over 95% had flaws in them that meant the data was bullshit. So we're running businesses, it's a bit like cars, like if 95% of cars showed the wrong speed and everybody got tickets all the time, it wouldn't be like, oh, it's just the way it is, these speedos, you know what they're like. It would be like, we need to sort this problem for the car industry, right? This is a big problem for me, and I'm trying to fix it, and if you want to fix it, then all the information about how to audit yourself is in here. So there's a link in the deck. So the first thing here is, when we're looking at device experiences on a site, what data should I look at? You know, what kind of different types of devices? Should I look at models or screen sizes? Where do I start? What stuff performs poorly? What really sucks? Where do they suck? So is it at the outer edge of the site on the landing page? Or is it somewhere deeper where that device experience hits the problem? It's interesting. But the patterns are what I'm looking for here. So things that look a bit odd, stuff that performs really high, stuff that performs low, blockages, cliff edges in data. I'm not interested in precision. I don't want that level of accuracy. I just want some focal areas to investigate with qualitative research. You've heard this theme several times today. Quantitative prioritizes the qualitative, and qualitative prioritizes the quantitative research. And it goes round and round like this. And I know this to be true myself. So I take my hats off to everyone who mentioned it. It's true. But this is the one diagram, this is your model for Google Analytics. When I split the data in Google Analytics, this is the way I do it. You might think, oh, you just put some stuff in PowerPoint. It took 5 years to work out that these are the dimensions where you will find value and device flaws. There are a lot of other places you could look, and you won't find stuff there. So this is my experience and wisdom of saying, look in these places, because they're fruitful. So if you're doing mobile, you need to split it by Apple and Android. And of course, you'd like to know what Apple models are on there, right? But Google Analytics doesn't tell you the models correctly. There's a whole massive problem with that, and we need to fix it. It shows you for some phones, but only phones that are using apps. So I'm like, I've got to know this stuff. However, there's a clever way. Apple actually send these resolutions for these Apple devices. So lo and behold, you can now work out on your site rough clusters of sizes or capabilities of Apple devices. Go use it. It's really handy. And then when I come to desktop, it's not all desktop. It's desktop Windows is one clump, and desktop Mac is another one. And you've got two kinds of browsers. You've got things like Explorer, where there's like version 9, 10, 11, and so on. And then you've got browsers like Firefox and Chrome, Edge, that are auto-updating. You don't need to test the old versions, because the versions you're seeing this week will have been upgraded by next week. So you just need to test the latest version there. Also on Mac, you need to split down by Safari and Chrome. But again, that's just another handy split in this diagram. One thing that you'll always see with Macs, you'll see Macs convert well better on this site. But that's because the people who are behind the Macs have more money, right? Okay, so sometimes the difference in the device experience performance is down to the device experience being shitty, and sometimes it's down to a difference in the person behind the device. Know which one it is. It's quite important. Tablets are hard. They're also diminishing in terms of traffic. But that's basically the whole diagram. That's what this article I'm about to show you. You can build this whole model yourself, right? And fill in all the figures, and that's what we're going to do here. So the entire recipe for this, entire step-by-step instructions are on here, right? Put it all together. Loads of people have been using it. We've iterated and got feedback. There are 3 steps, really easy. Step 1, get that custom report. Step 2, get this empty Excel sheet. Guess you know what the third bit's going to be. Yes! Move this stuff from one to another. Amazing, right? And this custom report at the top here will give you all of the drill downs to fill in all of these blanks. But I'm not going to go through the entire thing. What I want to do is skip to the end of the cookery bit where we show you the dish that we made earlier. So let me show you some real-life examples. If you look here, this is mobile and tablet performance comparing iOS against Android. And you can see here, why is my revenue per user on Android half? Why is my conversion rate? And notice no session-based metrics here. Those are stupid. Use user ecom CR, right? Way better for e-commerce sites, right? If you need a session-based metric, use one of those. If you need a user-based metric, use one of those. So in this particular case, we found there were 13 bugs that explained almost all of that difference. It was just a crappy coding for Android. Solved, worth a lot of money. This example here shows that Windows IE 11 and Edge are underperforming compared to Chrome. Again, we found by testing those underperforming clusters exactly what was wrong. And you can see in here the Safari, look at that. Oh, look at that, 6.92%. Oh, we'll have to get everyone else up to that. You won't. They just have more money. And why on this one, as my model number gets lower, does the conversion rate plummet? And they said, oh, we've no idea. So I tested it. The navigation is broken. It doesn't fit inside the smaller phones. All the guys who are testing it have got really big iPhones, right? Here's a tip. Your device that you have in your pocket right now is not a proxy for what customers have. Remember that forever. Looks fine on my device. So this is your model. You can fill the whole thing in here, but you're not done there, because what you really need to do is funnelize that device experience. I'd like an iPhone 4 funnel, an iPhone 5 funnel, an iPhone X funnel. I'd like an Android funnel. I'd like a Windows Chrome funnel. So I can go into Google Analytics and create all these detailed segments, advanced segments, to do all of this. It used to take me 7 hours to do all of these, and it was really annoying. So I found out a way to completely automate it. I'm going to show you. But here is a perfect example of how that funnelization helps. This is a site where we look at the clusters of landing pages and we do a yield analysis. So we say, out of all the seeds we planted in that field of landing pages, what was the yield that we got back in terms of the harvest? And the immediate thing there was like, why is those freaking product pages like about an eighth of the conversion rate? And it was because when people landed on the page on mobile, when they tried to move the image, it actually zoomed in on the image. Nobody could scroll on mobile, right? And they were like, nobody's called up about this. How's that possible? And I said, yeah, you didn't look either. How's that possible? It's no their fault, right, for not contacting you. Oh, bloody customers. They should be telling us. They are not the canary in your coal mine. As soon as we fix that, right? That's one bug. It took less than 5 minutes to fix and publish and put on the website, right? And it's 1.3 million higher in sales a month after we implemented it, just through those pages. The best thing was 40% of the traffic to that lot of pages was PPC. It was like burning cash or throwing it off a building. Ridiculous. How did that happen? No one will call you. So the important thing here is, now you've done that device grid, or you've dug a little bit deeper into where as well as how big, right? You can now prioritize your qualitative research around that. So I can do a heuristic evaluation. I can do usability testing. Now, because I know what devices and places on the site are flawed, I'm actually drilling down. I'm getting a laser focus, not on the whole problem, but on some places that are going to be very fruitful. And I can also do device testing with real devices. And if you want to do device testing, every single thing you need is on this slide. How to build a lab, how to use cloud services. So if you want to rent out an iPhone X for 5 minutes and check something on there, wow, you can get it. Amazon Device Anywhere have online cloud factories, and you can rent stuff out for a few minutes. Go do it. This is your minimum viable testing list. If you don't test this stuff as a minimum on your website, just shoot yourself. These are the minimum basics that you must do. A tablet, you know, at least a recent model iPad, if not a Samsung, Chrome, Edge, IE11, Mac Safari. A small iPhone, not the biggest one, and not the most recent Samsung Galaxy, but an S7 or 8. If you test those, you'll make loads of money if you're not doing it right now. If you've got a better list than that right now, come to me afterwards. I will buy you a drink. But then, what can we do? See, all making this stuff and manually pulling it together, it sounds like a lot of work for someone. Oh, we'll give that to the analytics guy to do. No, you won't. You're going to automate it so the analytics guy has time to do that rare thing called actually fucking analyzing things, right? Rather than running off reports for you because you can't even use the user interface of Google Analytics. So, report monkeys die. It's better for everyone. It's a much happier place when there are no report monkeys. So, what you need to do to automate this stuff is start with a grid. So, like the internet that is meant for, steal them. So you can steal this grid, which is what mine was based on. I've got my grid, so you can pull all that and automate it. It's got everything that you need in there. And guess what? I even built a piece of software to do it. There's this grid tool now called Profit Tool. All you need to do is plug in your Google accounts, tell it what the funnel steps are, what countries you want, and then it will pull all this and it will do the dimensionalized funnel. So it will give you an iPhone funnel and a Droid funnel. It'll even give you a funnel for an Xbox. And all of this is dimensionalized. You don't need to do any work. Within 2 minutes of going to that tool, you can look along this grid and find where the flaws are in your device experience, then use the qual research. And that is what an actual grid looks like. Right? It's got all the facts and figures in there. To do this manually takes an awful lot of time. Here's one example. This was 1 hour of work that nailed a 2 million per month issue on a travel site, and it all came from just watching that tablets were dropping out way earlier than they should be. But I honestly, it's very rare to run one of these grids and not find tons of stuff to investigate. So this is what I do a lot now. And all of the resources are there, the grid tool, articles, Excel grids, everything that you will need to put it together when you get back to the office. And even better than that, you can do all this stuff without coding. No coding required. There's an add-on for Google Sheets. There's this brilliant guide to getting started with the API. And there's even a thing in Google where you can test this stuff out before you run it for real, verify it's working. There's a whole series of tools here that you can plug into Excel as well as Google Sheets and pull the data in directly. And Power BI is brilliant for doing pivot tables against your device experiences. And those can be really helpful to track this down. But really, the big thing that I've given you today is a feedback loop. So what you do is you start by doing your basic or advanced grids or models, right? That tells you there's some stuff here that looks really bad and some stuff that looks really good, right? So let's do a research now. Let's dig in to those areas, drill into them and find what our focused research tells us. We can't test everywhere on the site, but let's test the bits that look shit in Google Analytics, because that ought to help. Then we can do our device testing, and then we can actually automate this so that we can run it every week and make sure that the developers don't break stuff that was working last week that we fixed, right? Because it happens, right? I fixed stuff, we're making loads more money now. Oh, it stopped. Oh, we put the bug back. Did anyone call us up to tell us we put the bug back? No. Do not expect people to call you. But this, if you go through this loop continually until you have no major device experience bugs left on devices that customers use on your site, then that's good. You know, if you can actually take money off people who come into your shop, if you accept the kind of cards that they have in their pockets, then you'll get money. If you don't support their devices, you will not get their money. So there's a great quote from Mandelbrot here, which really points out that there's a macro and a micro view of this, right? You can see a lot of details at the macro level, but you also need to drill into these tiny areas to figure out what's happening in this river system as a whole. And optimization really feels like this to me. People say, oh, my watch isn't telling the right time, or my business isn't showing the right KPI. So what do you do to fix that? Do you just put a screwdriver in here and sort of go like that and hope it works? No, you need to understand the relationships between these gears and cogs, because this is how your machine of growth works. And if you don't understand the machine of growth, then it's difficult to solve a problem that you don't actually understand. It's logical, but a lot of people don't do the understanding bit first. But there's a serious point to this that I'm going to end with, and that is, if you don't take care over this stuff, if through your neglect you don't do this device testing, then you are pushing discrimination on people. It may not be intentional, but unintentional discrimination still has consequences. So for all the people in the UK that wear glasses or corrective lenses, right? If your fonts aren't big enough or the contrast isn't good enough, what are you saying? You're saying, fuck you, everyone who wears glasses. We don't want your money, right? And what about people who have trendy Mac photos with coffees on bleach-washed tables? Screw them as well. They've got loads of money, but we don't care. We don't want to test Safari. We hate them. What happens if you're over 50, you're wealthy, you have several classic cars, 6 houses, but you use Internet Explorer 11? Fuck you. We don't want your money either. We don't want anyone's money. We only... well, what about people who are poorer? Right? Well, if you don't test on Android properly, you're actually discriminating against all these countries. But actually, more importantly, because of the Android socio-demographic effect, it means you're discriminating against poor people. You're saying, fuck you, you've got less money, you've got an Android phone, so screw you. But this is really, really, really bad, right? But here's the slide from earlier. What were those numbers? Those numbers were the amounts of money that were being lost every month by these companies until they fixed the bugs. and nobody called any of them. How do you know? You don't have this in there. So to get rid of this discrimination, you need to be using these kind of device feedback loops. No one's going to call you up and tell you. You have to go and hunt them down. And accessibility here is not about, supporting people with screen readers. It's about getting the biggest audience reach out of your addressable audience. Accessibility gives you that reach through device compatibility. And testing stuff, actually putting investment into proper testing, will drive customer delight and profit. So do me a favour, download that 15-minute thing, get started on it next week, and help us all end device discrimination today. Thank you.